In the still of the night, I think of you.
The bastard! Stanley exploded and rushed out. Uche and Charles rushed after him. Calm down. We should let the police know of this new development, Charles added as they rushed off. He's our next door neighbor. He asked her out briefly, but she was already seeing Stanley and he backed off. He could never stay here. It's going to be alright. I'll catch up with them. Chop caught up with them at the entrance of the neighbor's house. We can't just go barging in. Let's wait for the police and a warrant. My wife may not have that time. Stanley entered the house. You know, any evidence found here may not be admissible in court because it was gotten illegally. Why not work on the warrant while we just look around without removing anything? He's not doing anything we wouldn't have done when we were in his shoes, Uche said to Charles and followed Stanley and Chuck inside. Charles nodded and began making the necessary calls. They looked around the living room. Everything seemed to be in order. There was nothing to be found downstairs, so they went upstairs. Upstairs seemed clean too. There was no sign of anything untoward. The 3-bedroom revealed nothing suspicious or out of the ordinary. There is nothing here, Uche stated. Or an expert is needed. Where is Yomi? I hear him downstairs. Stanley walked over to the 3D wallpaper and touched it. While his friends were talking, he was busy trying to read the mind of a stalker. If he was a stalker, he would have pictures and other memorabilia of the object of his obsession. Where would he hide it away from prying eyes? He knocked on the wall and found a hollow spot. What is it? Yomi and 2 detectives who had joined them turned to him waving a warrant. It's a hollow spot, Stanley stated. It's also a 3D wall, so Stanley knocked on the wall again and pressed one of the pointy designs of the wall and it slid open. They all watched in awe as the wall revealed a small alcove. In it were pictures of stars in different places dating from years ago. Stanley took a step back. He was hyperventilating. He was feeling faint again. Somehow his mind was not comprehending what he was seeing. He felt a couple of hands under his shoulders and he was heaved up by his friends. You guys should go, Yomi said. Now that we know who is behind it, we will catch him. The worst is almost over. No, Stanley said. I found this while you doubted me. If I leave it in your hands, you'll bring back a corpse for me, he shouted at the detectives and left. His friends caught up with him. Stanley, I am not trying to play down the seriousness of this. We've all been here, so we understand. It seems like we are called to fight for the lives of the women we love. Just let us help you. And you need a calm head to outsmart him, Chuck added. Just then, Star's phone rang. Stanley gingerly answered it. Put it on speaker. I give you A for smartness. I didn't think you'll figure it out. If you harm her in any way, threaten me again and I'll cut the phone. What do you want? I have what I want already, but I need to be able to keep her. You have 1 hour to find me, or I'll kill both of them. Find you where? You are smart. You'll figure it out. What do you mean both of them? Stanley asked, puzzled. Oh, you don't know? Your bastard growing in her womb. What? Stanley stammered. If I see the police, or you alert them in any way, I will cut out Stanley Jr. from her womb and slowly kill her. You have 1 hour. Please, I need more time. 1 hour, he said and cut the phone. Star slowly came to and opened her eyes. She had to quickly close it as a blinding headache gripped her. Where was she? She looked around what looked like a hospital ward, an abandoned hospital ward. Confounded, she tried to get up, but couldn't. Her hands were tied to the bedpost. Hyperventilating, she also noticed so were her ankles. And then she remembered. She had gone to visit her mom after receiving a text from her. Dr. Yemi had somehow gained entrance into her house. Oh my goodness, she exclaimed dreadfully. All this while, the psychopath was a good doctor? Suddenly, she began to struggle to get away. She was panicking and so afraid. She vaguely remembered the doctor saying he would kill Stanley if she defied him. So if she didn't find a way to get away from here, he would use her to get to him. It won't do you any good. Dog him to stand before her. Let me go! Now, why would I do that after all the trouble I went to get you? You psychopath! What do you want? I thought that would be very obvious. You, of course, he announced proudly. You are a sick man. She spat at him. I'm sick with love for you. Do you know how long I've longed for you, loved you from afar? Of course you don't. Why would you, when you only had eyes for handsome billionaires? My husband will find me, and you will regret ever doing this. If he's smart enough, and oh, I'm counting on it. I didn't wait for 5 years. I didn't plan. You didn't plan this one at all, did you? You just saw an opportunity too good to pass up. He shrugged. No plans needed. I mature as my battles do. He smiled. You will regret this. Your plans have failed already. Even with a failed plan, here you are, and your husband is on his way to get you and the baby. Baby? You don't know either. What kind of marriage were you two having? She was pregnant? She tried to remember when last she had her period. She had never been regular. That was 8 weeks ago. No, she denied. Things cannot be happening. A baby? Stanley's baby? A child they made together? Suddenly she had a renewed zeal to escape. She looked around the room for a weapon, anything at all. She saw on the table beside the bed she was tied to some sharp tools like someone was about to perform a surgery. What are all this for? She began to panic again. You don't think I waited for 5 years to raise another man's child, did you? No, no. She began to struggle again. Save your strength, he said. I won't abort till the billionaire gets here. I want him to watch as I take away all he holds dear, just because I can. The way he took you away from me, just because he could. He smiled and caressed her. She turned away from him. He didn't take me away. I chose him because I love him. It doesn't matter what you do. I will never ever love you. He shrugged. If you harm my baby or my husband, you don't need to worry about what he will do. I will bring down on you a terrible rage that will make the adversary look like a saint. You think you're a psychopath? You have not met me. For a moment she saw fear in his eyes, but only for a moment. He shrugged and picked up his phone. If he's smart enough, he will have her here by now. Then she felt it, her way out of there, a sharp edge by the bedpost. She began to use it to slowly and quietly cut the rope, praying she would be free before Stanley arrived. Stanley and his friends were in his helicopter, on their way to the abandoned hospital. It had taken them a while to figure out where the doctor would be. After the call, they had gone back to Joy. She was the only one who knew the doctor well enough to shed some light on his habits. Joy had been too distraught to answer them, but Chuck had helped calm her down. I know he inherited quite a son from his aunt, who died from childbirth. As a result, he offers free prenatal and postnatal care to women who live in the slums to honor her memory. He was trained abroad, but I can't remember where now. Joy wiped tears from her eyes. Do you know his aunt's name? No, I don't. I am sorry, I don't know enough to save my baby. She began to cry again. Stanley put his hands around her in comfort. We'll find her, I promise. Thank you. You've given us enough already, Yemi said to Joy. What's going to happen now? There can't be too many doctors offering free maternity care to women in the trenches. I'll find him. We have less than 1 hour. Stanley consulted his watch. I suggest you go to Silver Towers and wait for my call. How does that help? Stanley was getting impatient with Yomi. You have a chopper there. You can be in any location in a matter of minutes from there. So Jeremiah had driven them to Silver Towers and must have broken all the traffic laws to get them there as quickly as he could. It had taken all of 30 minutes for Yomi to call them back. 30 minutes of dread and trepidation. As he waited for them to arrive at their destination, his mind wandered back to the last 30 minutes. He wanted so desperately to believe his friends, but somehow couldn't get past the sheer dread engulfing him. We will find her, and you'll be a father in 9 months. This is your happy ending, Stanley. You have to believe it. He consulted his wristwatch again. I believe Yomi is losing his touch. We have less than 30 minutes. He will call. He knows what's at stake, Richie had reminded him. I should be out there, looking for answers. I hate feeling this helpless. If anything happens to her, we understand how you feel because we've all been here ourselves. There is nothing much we can do now. We could have tried to track him down, but if we go the wrong direction and Yomi calls with an opposite direction, I know, he muttered. And just then his phone rang. It was Yomi. So here they were. Their chopper was about to land on the hospital ground. He alighted from the chopper and watched as he took off with his friends. They were going to find another way in. He was vehemently against it. He had reminded them one wrong move and it would be all over for Star. But knowing his friends, there was no way they were going to let him face a life and death situation alone. Even though he reminded them the police would be just outside waiting to storm the place. Yomi had assured them they have a plan in motion. They didn't want him going to face the kidnapper alone. They were planning to find a way to storm the hospital and rescue Star, but he was against it. It was a big place, and if they get it wrong, it would be his wife's corpse. He even trusted his friends more than he trusted the police. He counted on them more to have his back than he did the law enforcement. So they had all agreed he would go in alone as the doctor demanded, try to distract him while they find another way to storm the building. He knew he was not only going to distract the doctor, he was going in to rescue his wife and unborn child. He didn't know how he was going to do that, but he was going to do all he could, more than all he could to save them. He took one last look at the chopper as he lifted from the ground. They nodded at him in encouragement and he nodded back. He began to take the dreadful walk to the door, praying desperately that he could save his wife. His friends believed the plan put in place would work. He was supposed to send another chopper to airlift a handful of policemen and Yomi to another part of the hospital. But he didn't send the chopper. Yomi had been testing him and he had been stalling him. Their plan was not a good one. He didn't trust it. The psychopath might have the whole place under surveillance and might see them flying in or landing. He wasn't going to gamble with his wife's life or trust the whole thing would play out as planned by them. So with his own plan in motion, a plan which only included rescuing his wife and unborn child, a plan which did not necessarily include saving his own life, he walked through the hospital door, confident that if anything happened to him, his friends would always be there for his family. No wonder he directed the pilot to take them back to safer towers and not to another part of the hospital.
In the still of the night, I think of you. My heart beats with every thought of you. You're the one I can't let go. In your arms I find my home. Love, sweet love, it's you I'm dreaming.